Next, we goes our next chapter. The chapter is quadrilaterals. Okay. Then we already know, we already discussed the ideas about quadrilaterals. Correct. The quadrilateral means it's a four-sided figure that four angles have. And what is the angle sum of quadrilateral? The angle sum of quadrilateral is 360. That's also we learn. And also we discussed the types of quadrilateral. Correct. Types of quadrilateral. What are they? Yes, they are trapezium. What is trapezium? Trapezium means it's one pair of opposite side of a quadrilateral are parallel. ഒരു ക്വാഡ്രിലേറ്ററിൻ്റെ ഒരു പെയർ ഓപ്പോസിറ്റ് സൈഡ് പാരലൽ ആണെങ്കിൽ അതിനാണ് നമ്മൾ എന്ത് വിളിക്കുന്നത്? trapezium. We already learned, so we just saying the ideas, we just discussing the definition only. Okay, then the second one is a parallelogram. Correct. Parallelogram is a, what is parallelogram? The parallelogram means both pairs of opposite sides of a quadrilateral are parallel. So parallelogram means is a quadrilateral, the both pairs of opposite sides are parallel. Then what is the difference of trapezium? Trapezium we have only one pair of opposite sides are parallel, not in the two. If the two pairs are parallel, the both pairs are parallel, then is called parallelogram. It's a parallelogram. Okay. Then third one is a rectangle. Then here in the case of rectangle we have the little changes in the definitions. Okay, we already learned the rectangle, but that time we not use this definition, we studied there the different ways. Okay, here we are defining the rectangle as like this. Rectangle is a parallelogram. Okay, it's a parallelogram and one of its angle is right angle. In the case of parallelogram, any one of the angle is a right angle, then is a rectangle. But there we studied this rectangle is a parallelogram with all angles are 90 degree. Correct. All angles are 90 degree. അതൊരു പാരലോഗ്രാം ആണ്. അതിൻ്റെ എല്ലാ ആംഗിളും 90 ഡിഗ്രി ആയ പാരലോഗ്രാമിനെയാണ് എന്തെന്ന് പറയുന്നത്? റെക്റ്റാങ്കിൾ എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് എന്നാണ് നമ്മൾ മുമ്പേ പഠിച്ചിട്ടുള്ളത്. But here is the little changes. How it is studying? Yes, rectangle is a parallelogram with the one angle is 90 degree. Here we saying only one angle. Correct. Okay. Then what is the difference? Here we to reduce the definition. Here we get, in the case of a parallelogram only one angle is 90 degree, then surely all other angles are 90 degree. ഒരു പാരലോഗ്രാമിൻ്റെ ഒരു ആംഗിൾ 90 ഡിഗ്രി ആണെങ്കിൽ നമുക്ക് എല്ലാ ആംഗിളും അത്ര കിട്ടും മക്കളെ, 90 ഡിഗ്രി എന്ന് കിട്ടും. So it's not need to say all angles are 90 degrees, enough to say one angle is 90 degree. അതുകൊണ്ട് തന്നെ നമുക്ക് എല്ലാ ആംഗിളും 90 ഡിഗ്രി ആണ് എന്ന് പറയേണ്ട, ഒരു ആംഗിൾ 90 ഡിഗ്രി ആണ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ മതി. Then how is it possible? That we discuss later. Okay, we discuss later how we get, if we know the one angle is 90 degrees, then how to we prove that all angles are 90 degree in the case of a parallelogram, and how we make as a rectangle. Okay, that we discuss later. Just study now what is a rectangle. Rectangle is a parallelogram with the one angle is 90 degree. Okay, the next one is rhombus. What is rhombus? Yes, we know rhombus is a parallelogram with all sides are equal. Rhombus എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് എന്താണ്? is a parallelogram with all sides are equal. Clear? The next, square. What is square? Square is a rectangle with all sides are equal. What is square? Square is a rectangle with all sides are equal. The square is a rectangle with all sides are equal. What is rectangle? Rectangle is a parallelogram with one angle is 90 degree. Correct. With one angle is 90 degree. So square is also a parallelogram because square is a rectangle. Rectangle is a parallelogram, so square is also a parallelogram. So what is actually square? Square is a parallelogram with one angle is 90 degree and all sides are equal. Okay, clear? എല്ലാ സൈഡും ഈക്വലും ഒരു ആംഗിൾ 90 ഡിഗ്രിയുമായ പാരലോഗ്രാമിനെയാണ് എന്ത് വിളിക്കുന്നത്? സ്ക്വയർ. Square is a rectangle with all sides are equal means Square is a parallelogram with one angle is 90 degree and all sides are equal. In the case of parallelogram, the all sides are equal. What we call it? We call it as a rhombus. അല്ലേ, നമ്മൾ ഒരു പാരലോഗ്രാമിൻ്റെ എല്ലാ സൈഡും ഈക്വൽ ആണെങ്കിൽ എന്താണ് വിളിക്കുക മക്കളെ? റോംബസ്. Then here also square is a parallelogram with one angle is 90 degree and all sides are equal. Here also all sides are equal. All sides are equal in the case of parallelogram, what we call rhombus. That means square is a rhombus. But rhombus are not squares. Why? Because in the case of rhombus we not saying the idea one angle is 90 degree. റോംബസ് സ്ക്വയർ ആവില്ല. കാരണം എന്താ? റോംബസിൽ ഒരു ആംഗിൾ 90 ഡിഗ്രി ആവണമെന്നില്ല. ബട്ട് ഓൾ സ്ക്വയേഴ്സ് ആർ റോംബസ്. വൈ? ബിക്കോസ് ഇൻ ദ കേസ് ഓഫ് സ്ക്വയേഴ്സ് all sides are equal and square is also a parallelogram. So square is a rhombus. Okay, and rectangle, the last one. What is the last one? Kite. We know two pairs of adjacent sides are equal. ഒരു ക്വാഡ്രിലേറ്ററലിൻ്റെ അടുത്തടുത്തുള്ള ഏതെങ്കിലും രണ്ട് പെയേഴ്സ് ഈക്വൽ പെയേഴ്സ് സൈഡ്സ് ഈക്വൽ ആണെങ്കിൽ അതെന്ത് വിളിക്കാം? Yes, kite. Okay, then here the figure ABCD, AB is equal to BC and AD is equal to CD. Sometime we will get like this: AB is equal to AD and BC is equal to CD. Then any one pair, any two pairs of adjacent sides of a quadrilateral are equal, then is called kite. Okay, sometimes like this, what we mark here. Okay, otherwise in the form AB is equal to AD and BC is equal to CD, like that also. Okay, then we discuss the relations. We already discussed square is a rhombus, but rhombus are not squares. Rhombus is a parallelogram, correct, but all parallelograms are not rhombus, because the rhombus means is a rhombus means there we want to get all sides are equal, but in the case of parallelogram we know that is not need to get all sides are equal. അല്ലേ, എല്ലാം എന്തല്ല, എല്ലാ സൈഡ്സും ഈക്വൽ ആവണമെന്നില്ല. So rhombus is a parallelogram, but all parallelograms are not a rhombus. Rectangle is a parallelogram, correct? Rectangle is a parallelogram, but all parallelograms are not rectangle. Clear? And here, what is parallelogram? The both pair of opposite sides are parallel. രണ്ട് പേരും പാരലൽ അതെന്തായി? യെസ്, പാരലോഗ്രാം. ഒരു ക്വാഡ്രിലേറ്ററിലെ രണ്ട് പേരും പാരലൽ എന്തായി? പാരലോഗ്രാം ആയി. Then what is trapezium? If the one pair of opposite sides are parallel, then is a trapezium, correct? Then here we have the two pairs are parallel. രണ്ട് പേർ പാരലൽ ഉണ്ട്. അപ്പോൾ ഒരു പേർ പാരലായാൽ തന്നെ അതെന്തായി? trapezium ആയി. So we saying the parallelogram is a trapezium. Parallelogram എന്താണെന്ന് പറയാം? trapezium ആണ്, because there the two pairs are parallel. പാരലോഗ്രാമിൽ രണ്ട് പേരും പാരലാണ്, അപ്പോൾ തീർച്ചയായിട്ടും ഒരു പെയർ പാരലാണെന്ന് പറയാം. So parallelogram is a trapezium, but trapeziums are not parallelograms. Okay, I think you got it, the idea about the definitions of the quadrilateral and the relation between the quadrilateral. Okay, just be noticing the idea what are we discussing there by the definitions of a quadrilateral. Okay, then the first one is very easy. Rectangles and rhombus and square are parallelogram. We know that, we already discussed. Rectangle is a parallelogram with one angle is 90 degree. Rhombus is a parallelogram with all sides are equal. What is square? Square is a rectangle with all sides are equal, correct? Then square is a rectangle is a parallelogram, so the both are parallelograms. Rhombus is also a parallelograms. Okay, the second idea, a square is a rectangle. We know the idea, that one, am I right? Square is a rectangle because a square is a rectangle with all sides are equal. So square is a rectangle and is a rhombus. The square is a rectangle and is also a rhombus. Why? Because rhombus means is a parallelogram with all sides are equal. Then we know that square is a parallelogram and their all sides are equal. So square is a rhombus. Okay, so the second idea is clear. Square is a rectangle and is also a rhombus. Parallelogram is a trapezium. What is the third relation? The relation is parallelogram is a trapezium. Why? Because in the case of trapezium in a quadrilateral, one pair of opposite side is enough to say a quadrilateral is a trapezium. ഓക്കെ, ഒരു ക്വാഡ്രിലേറ്ററിൻ്റെ ഒരു പെയർ ഓപ്പോസിറ്റ് സൈഡ് പാരലൽ ആണ് എന്ന് കിട്ടിയാൽ തന്നെ അതിനെന്തെന്ന് പറയാം? ട്രപ്പീസിയം എന്ന് പറയാം. In the case of parallelogram, we know that the both pairs mean two pairs of opposite sides are parallel. Correct? So, it's very clear one pair is parallel. There is one pair is parallel, then we call it as a trapezium. So, parallelogram is a trapezium. ഓക്കെ, അവിടെ രണ്ട് പേരും പാരലാണ്, ഒന്ന് കിട്ടുമ്പോൾ തന്നെ നമുക്ക് എന്താണെന്ന് പറയാം? ട്രപ്പീസിയം ആണെന്ന് പറയാം. സോ പാരലോഗ്രാം ഈസ് എ ട്രപ്പീസിയം. ഓക്കെ, ദ നെക്സ്റ്റ് വൺ, ട്രപ്പീസിയം ഈസ് നോട്ട് എ പാരലോഗ്രാം. വൈ? ട്രപ്പീസിയം ഈസ് നോട്ട് എ പാരലോഗ്രാം. ഫോർ സെയിങ് ദ പാരലോgrams, we want to get the both pairs of opposite sides are parallel. But in the case of trapezium, we will get only one pair of opposite sides are parallel. Correct? ഒരു പെയർ മാത്രമേ പാരലായിട്ട് കിട്ടുള്ളൂ. അതുകൊണ്ട് അതെന്തല്ല, it's not a parallelogram. Okay, then the last one, what is the last idea? Rhombus is not a square. Why? Because the both cases, the rhombus and the square are parallelogram with all sides are equal, but in the case of square, we want to get one angle is also 90 degree. But in the case of rhombus, we not need to get the angle measurement is 90 degrees. Enough there to get the side measurements are equal. So, rhombus means is a parallelogram with all sides are equal. But what is square? Square is a parallelogram with all sides are equal and one angle is 90 degree. In the case of rhombus, we not get one angle is 90 degrees. So, rhombus is not a square. Okay, but squares are rhombus. Okay, I think you got it, the relation between the quadrilaterals. Next, we are discussing the next idea. That one is the properties of parallelograms. Okay, we already know, we already discussed and we already apply the ideas of properties of parallelograms. Okay, then first one, what is the first one? Yes, the case of properties of parallelogram, we studying the properties as like the axiom. The first one, opposite sides of a parallelograms are equal and vice versa. Okay, that we discuss later. Opposite sides of a parallelograms are equal. That means if the quadrilateral, the given quadrilateral is a parallelogram, then surely what is the first property of parallelogram? Their opposite sides are equal. Not only one, the both pairs of opposite sides are equal. Okay, that means the first one we discuss in the case of this parallelogram APCD, what we get? Then APCD, the given quadrilateral is a parallelogram, then surely AB is equal to DC and BC is equal to AD. Okay, that is the first property of parallelogram. Is the given quadrilateral is a parallelogram, then what is the first property? Opposite sides are equal. That means AB is equal to DC and BC is equal to AD. Okay, then what is the second property? Opposite angles of a parallelogram are equal. Then what is opposite angles of a parallelogram? Not only one pair, the both pairs of opposite sides are equal. That means in this quadrilateral is a parallelogram, the angle A is equal to the opposite angle C and angle D is equal to the opposite angle B. Okay, so APCD is a parallelogram, then angle A is equal to angle C and angle B is equal to angle D. That is the second property. Then third one, all adjacent angles of a parallelograms are supplementary. We know what I mean by supplementary. What is supplementary? The sum of the angles is equal to 180 degree. Then what is the third property? All adjacent angles of a parallelograms are supplementary. So we want to identify in this quadrilateral APCD is a parallelogram, what are the adjacent angles? The adjacent angle means the angle lies in the either side, correct? The angle lies in the either side means What are the angles lies in the side AB? That one is angle A and angle B. They are called adjacent. Angle B and angle C are adjacent. C and D are adjacent. D and A are adjacent. Correct. So is a parallelogram. Then what is the third property? The property saying all adjacent angles are supplementary. That means angle A plus angle B is equal to 180. Angle B plus angle C is also 180. C plus D is 180. D plus A is also 180. If we add any two adjacent angles, we get only one answer. The answer is 180 degree. Okay, when if the given quadrilateral is a parallelogram. Okay, so the next one, what is the next one? The diagonals of a parallelogram bisect each other. Then we already know what I mean by bisect each other. Bisect each other means they are dividing equally. Correct. That means here the diagonal AC and DB are bisect each other. Bisect means divide equally. Bisect each other means the meeting point of both the diagonal, that means M is the midpoint of AC and M is the midpoint of DB. Okay, what is diagonal bisect each other means the meeting point of both the diagonals is the midpoint of diagonal AC and DB. ഡയഗണൽ ബൈസെക്ട് ചെയ്യുന്നു പറഞ്ഞാൽ രണ്ട് ഡയഗണലും മീറ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്ന പോയിന്റ് രണ്ട് ഡയഗണലിൻ്റെയും എന്ത് പോയിന്റ് ആയിരിക്കും മക്കളെ? മിഡ് പോയിന്റ് ആയിരിക്കും. ഓക്കെ, ദാറ്റ് ഈസ് ദീസ് ആർ ദ മെയിൻ പ്രോപ്പർട്ടീസ് ഓഫ് parallelogram. Okay, these all we discussed already in the 8th class and we apply the ideas also. Then what is the first one? Opposite sides are equal. Then second one, opposite angles are equal. Then third one, adjacent angles are supplementary. And last one is the diagonals bisect each other. Okay, then we have one more, the reverse. What is that? Opposite sides of a parallelogram are equal and vice versa. What is vice versa? Vice versa means തിരിച്ചും അല്ലേ, ഇങ്ങോട്ടേക്ക് ഉണ്ടാവും അതേ പ്രോപ്പർട്ടി. എന്താണത്? This quadrilateral, if we get in this quadrilateral the both pairs of opposite sides are equal, then surely we conclude this one is a parallelogram. അപ്പോൾ ഒരു ക്വാഡ്രിലേറ്ററൽ പാരലോഗ്രാം ആണെന്ന് പ്രൂവ് ചെയ്യാൻ നമുക്ക് എന്ത് കിട്ടിയാൽ മതി? അതിൻ്റെ രണ്ട് പെയർ ഓപ്പോസിറ്റ് സൈഡും ഈക്വൽ ആണെന്ന് കിട്ടിയാൽ മതി. രണ്ട് പെയർ ഓപ്പോസിറ്റ് സൈഡും ഈക്വൽ ആണെങ്കിൽ ആ ക്വാഡ്രിലേറ്ററൽ എന്തായിരിക്കും മക്കളെ? ഈസ് എ പാരലോഗ്രാം. Or otherwise, if you want to prove the given quadrilateral is a parallelogram, then what is enough to prove opposite angles are equal. എന്ത് പ്രൂവ് ചെയ്താലും മതി, ഒരു ക്വാഡ്രിലേറ്ററിൻ്റെ ഓപ്പോസിറ്റ് ആംഗിൾസ് ഈക്വൽ ആണെങ്കിൽ, ദാറ്റ് മീൻസ് ഇഫ് വി ഗെറ്റ് ആംഗിൾ എ ഈസ് ഈക്വൽ ടു ആംഗിൾ സി, ആംഗിൾ ബി ഈസ് ഈക്വൽ ടു ആംഗിൾ ഡി, the both pairs of opposite angles are equal in this case of a quadrilateral ABCD, so we conclude ABCD is a parallelogram. Okay, and otherwise how it will be proved? How it will be proved is a parallelogram? Then all adjacent angles of a quadrilateral are supplementary. ഇതിൻ്റെ എങ്ങനെ കൂട്ടിക്കഴിഞ്ഞാലും ആംഗിൾ ബിയും ആംഗിൾ സിയും ആഡ് ചെയ്യുന്നു, ആംഗിൾ എയും ആംഗിൾ ബിയും ആഡ് ചെയ്യുന്നു. Okay, if we add angle A and angle B and angle B and angle C, then we conclude these angles. Yes, this is a parallelogram. We adding the adjacent angles, we get all the adjacent angles, sum is equal to 180 degree, so we conclude this one is a parallelogram. Okay, or otherwise if we prove the diagonals of the quadrilateral is bisect each other, that means the meeting point of the diagonal in the case of quadrilateral is a midpoint of both diagonal. If we prove it that result, so we conclude this one is a parallelogram. ഒരു ഡയഗണലിൻ്റെ ഡയഗണൽസ് ഒരു പാരലോഗ്രാമിൻ്റെ ഡയഗണൽസ് പരസ്പരം ബൈസെക്റ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ട്, രണ്ട് ഡയഗണലും മീറ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്ന പോയിന്റ് രണ്ട് ഡയഗണലിൻ്റെയും മിഡ് പോയിന്റ് ആണ് എന്ന് നമ്മൾ പ്രൂവ് ചെയ്താൽ ആ ക്വാഡ്രിലേറ്ററൽ എന്താണെന്ന് പറയാം മക്കളെ? പാരലോഗ്രാം. ഓക്കെ, ദീസ് പ്രോപ്പർട്ടി വി യൂസ് ടു പ്രൂവ് the given quadrilateral is a parallelogram or not. Okay, prove is given quadrilateral is a parallelogram. I think you got it, the idea for proving the parallelogram. What are we want to get? We study now these ideas. We have one more idea we discuss later, okay? The first one, if we get the opposite sides are equal, then the quadrilateral is a parallelogram. Or if we get a opposite angles are equal, then the given quadrilateral is a parallelogram. Or all adjacent angles are supplementary, then the given quadrilateral is a parallelogram. Or the diagonals of a quadrilateral is bisect each other, then the given quadrilateral is a parallelogram. Okay, I think you got the idea about the properties of parallelogram and how to we use these ideas for proving the given quadrilateral is a parallelogram. Okay, next we discussing the first theorem of this chapter. This theorem is very important. We use this one in many situations as directly. Okay, so the theorem is saying like this: a diagonal of a parallelogram divides it into two congruent triangle. Okay, is very clear. എന്താണ് theorem പറയുന്നത്? ഒരു പാരലോഗ്രാമിൻ്റെ ഡയഗണൽ അതിനെ രണ്ട് കോൺഗ്രുവൻറ്റ് ട്രയാങ്കിൾ ആയിട്ട് ഡിവൈഡ് ചെയ്യും. We know how to prove the congruency of triangle. We already learned it, correct? So here, what is this? First, we proving the result. We just choose a parallelogram. Okay. Then first we constructing a parallelogram. Then name it A, B, C, D. Okay, and we just drew the diagonal AC. So that time if we draw the diagonal in this parallelogram ABCD, then the diagonal divide the parallelogram as two triangles. What are they? ABC, correct? And second one is ADC. So we want to prove these two triangles are congruent. Okay, so how do we start? We started like this. Given ABCD is a parallelogram, correct? ABCD is a parallelogram. AC is the diagonal. AC is the diagonal. So what want to prove? We need to prove that triangle ABC congruent triangle ADC. Correct? We need to prove that triangle ABC is congruent to triangle ADC. We know that we have many rules to prove these two triangles. Okay, these two triangles are congruent. We have many rules for proving the two triangles are congruent. Then apply any one of that ideas, say these two triangles are congruent. So we starting like this. First we choose the triangle. What are the triangles? Yes, in triangle ABC and triangle ADC. Okay, then in triangle ABC and triangle ADC is very clear. AB and DC are opposite sides of the parallelogram, correct? BC and AD are opposite sides of the parallelogram, so they are equal, correct? Why? Because we know the properties of parallelogram, opposite sides are equal. So we concluded in triangle ABC and triangle ADC, what are equal? AB is equal to DC and AD is equal to BC. What is the reason? Since opposite sides of parallelogram, correct? And one more is very clear. In the both triangles have the one common side. What is that? AC. So we conclude AC is equal to AC. What is the reason? Common. So we conclude what we get. In triangle ABC's 3 side is equal to triangle ADC's 3 side, correct? So we concluded therefore triangle ABC congruent to triangle ADC. What is the reason? Reason is yes. Side is equal to side. Okay, what we prove it now? We prove it the result that diagonals of a parallelogram divide it into two congruent triangle. Okay, is for proving the congruency is not only applicable this idea, is possible to apply many ideas, many kinds, many ways is possible. These triangles are congruent. Okay, then what we got the result? Yes, finally we got it, that is diagonals. A diagonal, a parallelogram divide into two congruent triangle. Okay, this theorem, this result is very important. I think you got it, this idea.